Hello, everybody. Hi.
Hello,
Hesso.
everybody.
Hi, how's it going? I immediately noticed a weird thing with my hair, tried to fix it, and made it so much worse immediately.
Oh, I like that it's so much worse.
Yeah, like there was a little bit of a weird Jerry curl, and I tried to fix it, and just like, oh, wow. Oh, what a start. Oh, what a start. We're just gonna leave it now. Hello. Hype
Make
train
it worse,
already.
make it worse,
Wild.
make it worse, make
Look,
it worse.
I know this is like an 8-page intermission between two arcs. I got two big reasons. There's two big reasons that we're doing this as its own thing. Actually, I got 3 reasons. I'll give you 3 reasons. Number 1, Mama needs to read ahead of the train this week so that she can tackle Ennie's Lobby next week. So she's already read like a third of Ennie's Lobby to make it easier, which I think is necessary because it's pretty big. Number 2, let's be honest, if we mixed it with Water 7, we would be too busy talking about Water 7 stuff to talk about the train. And if we mixed it with Ennie's Lobby, we would be too busy talking about Ennie's Lobby stuff to talk about the train. I think one of my biggest reasons for having something be on its own is always going to be that it won't be talked about otherwise. So I really want to make sure. I want every part
I
of
have
the series.
so much hype about Ennie's Lobby. I'm already like dying to talk about it.
We are doing the cooldown after Ennie's Lobby. That is going to be its own thing because I think that is also anything really tonally distinct feels like it kind of needs to be in its own zone. Now, there's another very important reason that we are doing the Sea Train on its own, which is because Water 7 was so long that it couldn't fit a corkboard in it because it took 4 hours to just talk about Water 7. So we kind of, if we're going to do a corkboard corner for this section, need it to be after this instead because this conversation is probably going to be pretty short comparably to a lot of the episodes. I am not bracing you for One Piece memes. I debated telling you about this one, but you are about to have one of the long-running memes of One Piece forced upon you by the community this week.
What do you mean forced upon me? I gotta tell you, I'm struggling because I freaking love the next arc so
I'm
much.
so excited to get to it, and you aren't even at the coolest part yet. You just made it to where things very first get knocked up a gear. Let's get into the Sea Train. It's Sea Train time, everybody.
Come on, ride a train. You got it. Here we go.
What was that?
The problem with being in my generation is that we have a lot of music to go with train time.
There is a lot of train music from your generation, huh?
We really loved ourselves some trains.
We got into trains for a bit.
Let's start training, cause train. I like that Oda does this, and we've talked about this time and again. As soon as you're getting into a new arc or a small chapter, Oda is like, hey, thank you for the anonymous sub. That's really cool. Oda is like, hey, I got an idea. Let's just start it off with a bang. Giant tsunami wave and train moving towards it at screaming breakneck pace. And I don't know if you've noticed, is it Coco? What is it?
Lady Kokoro.
Anyways, Lady Kokoro, she of the most interesting laugh other than the zay ha ha ha. They're coming towards a giant wave. And in all scenarios, it's not going to be good. And then they're like, wait, if we go through that, she's like, oh yeah, we'll absolutely die. We'll be thrown off the track. We'll all die. We'll drown. It'll be bad. We'll be eaten by things. Yeah. And she just goes back to laughing while her granddaughter and her bunny cat are sitting beside her. And I'm like, that's a very mild reaction to a very big moment. But it started to make me think about how she's had such a difficult life and that she's just learned to be like, yeah, I guess we'll see. If we all die, we all die. Pretty chill about it. I love the way, though, that they just bash a hole right through the water, kind of like biblical parting of the Red Seas, but instead they just create like a hole the way that the 2 great good giants put a hole through the fish.
Yep.
And just, slide right through there. And I told you, I adore that picture where everybody is up on top of the rocket ship and we've got the whole Franky family and we have Straw Hats and Zoro and Luffy riding on the top. Like, it feels like we start this adventure with like an absolute frickin' bang. Let's knock a hole through a tidal wave and let's put this rocket train right through. And I was like, oh yeah, baby, let's go. And we zoom on through to chug-a-lug into one of the greatest adventures. It's short, but it's so delicious. Okay.
It's just a good little interlude adventure between the two dramatic plot points.
It's also a really good opportunity for there to be some closure on some old things, like Robin sacrificed herself and did what those people told her to, so the 6 of us, including you, would be safe. She did it for all of us, says Sanji to Usopp. And it's such a great time because with Usopp leaving, we knew that something was going to happen because Usopp has one thing in spades, and that's pride. And so having Franky already know the entire story and then hearing this part from Sanji, it was so cool to have Franky is basically me. That dude cries for everything. Like, Franky and I should have a crying on screen moment. I'm not even going to win. Franky'd kick my ass on cry on screen moments.
If Franky had to read One Piece, he'd be sobbing.
He couldn't make it through. He wouldn't have enough water.
They would have to put One Piece could kill Franky.
But then long nose Usopp walks away and you're like, oh my god, how long is this whole I don't want to be a part of it, blah blah blah, gonna last? And what was it? 4 panels in Usopp time, and he comes back on and he's already another character who we'll talk about in a minute. Oh my god, people do not play in, don't be a Luffy and Chopper. All these people. Usopp comes back? This isn't Usopp.
Hey, we found the meme. The meme which will be hoisted upon you.
T-Bone is wicked. And I thought, like, oh, is he going to actually be evil? But no. He's just such a good bony dude.
He's straightforward and incredibly good guy.
And, like, how good is that to have somebody finally on the government who is just, like, straightforward, excellent person?
There's an incredibly nice man. There's nothing wrong with him at all. He's so good that he doesn't even like diagonal sword slashes because they're not proper enough. This man couldn't be more straight edge if he tried.
Search everywhere, we'll find evidence. Oh, this is bad. He is seriously wounded. Use this for now. Rips off another chunk of his cape. Like, just straight good. And Mr. When we have, what is it, the Weasel go up onto the roof against Sanji and Franky when they find him. We're going to get here in a minute, but let's just
someone actually
pause on that.
For you that you might want to consider that you think Usopp and Sniper King are the same character, but Usopp's from the East Blue and Syrup Village, whereas Sniper King is from Sniper Island, and Sniper Island's not in the East Blue, it's in your heart. So what do you think about that?
Yeah. No.
Yeah?
No.
A man dies when he's forgotten. Anyways.
Oh my god. You need to be really worried about the next time we see each other in person.
I love that every time I'm trying to bother you on purpose, I can just close it out of context. A man dies when he's forgotten.
The worst. There's an entire section where his mask comes off and Usopp his face is right out there, and I was like, you didn't need to do that. I knew who he was. And then everyone is still pretending, and I'm just like, who was it? Zoro, who just rolls his eyes, and I was like, Zoro, it's you and me. You and me. But I loved how we go up there and they go, who's that? I heard this whole story from him. You want to save a young lady, do you? I need no particular reason to lend you a hand in your endeavor. I shall fight alongside you. My name is Sniper King. There's some pretty good things about it. Like the mask. It's a curtain around him as far as I can tell. That's how we're making capes now, and that's fine. I mean, Scarlett O'Hara made a dress. You can make yourself a cape.
It is fun that he stole a curtain and a mask and is like, I'm new alter ego.
But it was also really, you forget the cape. Heroes, no, I said the cape. And not all heroes wear cape. Jormanx, I, for instance, don't.
Admiral T-Bone does, and he is a hero.
I love that, although he uses it to staunch people's wounds.
Yeah, it's mostly a bandage supply closet, actually.
I do like that we have the panel though with him going, I was born on a sniper land. Nice song choice. I'm not gonna lie. We're all Jins now. Yeah, you are. But I loved more how then Sanji goes, okay then.
Fine.
Right now we're commencing Operation Recapture Robin. Like he was just like, I'm not gonna get into this. Don't you two have any questions for me since we've never met? First off, you guys were in car 6. Like, where Sniper Island is? Sanji is like, I am going to talk. Like, you are not talking. Top of the train planning sessions with wind rushing through. Those are my favorite planning sessions right there. And loving the upgrade on Nami's baton.
The Climatak 2.0.
It is so pretty.
And it's infused with dial technology.
It is so beautiful.
Oh, wait, you predicted that Usopp would use dials to upgrade what Nami has going on, and that exactly happened. Gold star.
Holy crap, I did too! Gold star!
Yeah, Usopp did in fact use dials to upgrade the Climatak.
Hey, Dog McGuffin, you Jin, along with the rest of talk. I think, this is just me, Sniper King might be Usopp. That's just my feelings, especially since you all think that he's a god.
Well,
okay.
Let me tell you though. I'm not gonna play with the meme. I get it. I get that we love the meme as a community. I can't in good conscience keep this up. Chat, this is on you. You have to carry this burden if you want it to be here. It's gonna take so much energy to every time Sniper King comes up to do this.
I literally wouldn't be able to move to the end if I just spent all the time.
I don't think I can
be so busy defending that Usopp is Sniper King. Cannot do it.
Guys, I know.
You all go Jin about. I'm going to continue on.
I love bullying Mama. It's very funny. However, I do need to be a good co-host, and I don't think I can both be a good co-host and keep up the Sniper King meme.
No, you literally can't. You'll just be a crappy host.
Yeah.
They burst in, and I like that when Sanji and Franky and the Sniper King come in the back and smash open the back door. Good evening, they all say together. And we get a really good sense of who's in every single car. And right away, they trap those cars. Boom, disconnect them. And then they're like, see you later, pal. And you're thinking to yourself like, oh, no, T-Bone with the worst belt in the entire world. You've been rendered useless. And T-Bone's like, no, I haven't. I'm going to stand on the tracks and fight for everyone. I love T-Bone. T-Bone is a good dude.
T-Bone is the hardest working, nicest Marine, doing his damnedest out here to be a good guy.
Yeah, he's like, oh, have I been rendered useless? Wrong. I'm going to stand on the tracks and wait for the next train. And then we get to find out a lot about Franky's body and how much damage he can take, and have these amazing fights where the three of them are fighting side by side and moving their way through the train. Well, then we find out that he has a Coca-Cola belly, which Oda said inside of one of the SBSs when someone was like, why Coca-Cola? And he's like, because it's tasty. Have you tasted Coca-Cola?
Well, not Coca-Cola. That's a brand. Just cola. Ambiguous cola.
Cola.
He could also be powered by Pepsi. We don't know.
Who's powered by Pepsi? What a ridiculous thing to say.
Hey, can we get a Pepsi versus Coke poll after the Mama's reaction poll? Once this starts, I feel like we are watching a little choose your character for a beat-em-up game, and we have Sanji, Sniper King, and Franky standing there, and player 1 picks Sanji and player 2 picks Franky, because sometimes they're together, but sometimes they're just taking turns taking on trains and mini-bosses. This is a side-scroller beat-em-up where Sanji, Sniper King, and Franky are the beat-em-up characters. That is absolutely the vibe for me.
I totally agree. And Wayne's the CP7 cooking fighter. The absolutely manic. I'm sorry, Wanzi, which is like onesie. So now all I can see him is in a noodle onesie.
Kind of is.
I'm Mad Wanzi. What's up, guys? And then when they get into this fight, and once again, Oda being Oda is like, what else can we make come out of noses? Ugh. I'm just watching it. I just have to take a moment to vomit.
What are they?
Ramen noodles out the nose.
Yeah.
I can barely. Oh, ugh. Thank you. I think it's the most disgusting character. I agree.
Sanji
Note
gets
about
to
how
fight
gross
one
he is.
chef, and it's the man who makes ramen out of his nose.
Yeah, like if you're Sanji, I'm surprised he didn't do more things about like him ruining food by putting it through his nose. We go through the train and we get to know where everybody is. I love when he does map-like things where you like the train is laid out and we know that CP7 Wanzi is back here, then CP9 Nero. I look forward to your future, Nero. And then Lucci and the gang, and then Nico Robin. I love it when they work it out. And they're talking about who's in what car, and they show us a little map. And I like, then there's this blonde guy that I've never seen before wearing a suit for a total of 3 enemies. You're about to have yourself a fun time because of the Sniper King. We're going into the first part of Nico Robin sitting there and them not even worried about her taking off or jumping out the train or anything because they feel like they really have her and that there's nothing that they could possibly do to worry about this, which makes you as a person be like, what the hell did they say? And then you remember about the thing, but you're like, why does that matter so much? And when we find out, you're just so mad. It's so infuriating to think that they used Robin's trauma against her. And then I made it even worse by thinking about it for a while.
I think we can go into your... Actually, we don't need to wait till corkboard because this is part of the story. This is where you kind of deduced what you think Robin's backstory is. So do you want to go into that in detail now instead of corkboard? Because I think this is where
if necessary, you can just cork out some predictions and stuff from this. I'm looking at Robin in here and I was thinking about like, it's kind of ridiculous that she's so passive about this. And then we started to find out that they had this thing on Robin. What is it called? The event? Where they can bring...
And it's 10 battleships and 5 vice admirals, which is wild.
Yeah, especially when you say like the person that they met when we were in Long Island was just one above them. And how many did you say? 7?
5 vice admirals.
5 vice admirals. My God. Yeah. Okay.
And battleships are the largest warship in the Navy.
Also wild. So I was like, what is it particularly? Because you're wondering if it is possible for them to have gotten away. She knows how crazy Luffy and the gang are and like could go into hiding or da-da-da-da-da-da. And then I was like, what could they possibly have done? And then you find out they've used this Buster Call against Robin because she saw something like this when she was young. It happened to her people and in a land that we don't know about or know about a little bit. And that because of that, she has deep trauma that's imprinted from this moment happening to her that she could never get over. And then they talk about things like her being alive in itself is somehow evil. Her mere existence is a mistake. So I was like, okay, why would the government send that much power after Robin's people? And how many people were there? And why were they important enough to send a Buster Call out for? And by the way, I just want to say, like, having that happen and then she survives that and then they use it against her makes them a new kind of evil.
Yep.
And then I looked at this thing and I was like, well, the only reason that I think that could have happened to Robin is this. What if Robin's people either had a purpose like they did in Skypiea, or that... I'm just looking at these different things I wrote about Robin, sorry. Or that it's connected to the loss of her people. Did her people have the information that they needed to have similar to the Poneglyph in Skypiea, that they were trying to wipe out an entire group of humans because they had links to the lost century and the weaponry in the Poneglyphs? Or that her people knew things that the government didn't want her to know, or they had an ability to make a connection or to read things or to know things in a way that people no longer knew. And so they tried to wipe out her entire people so that they couldn't discover or uncover the 100-year lost century. And so I started to think maybe it's possible when, pardon?
Sorry, some people are asking how far you read to know if this is coming from future information. Mama only read to the moment, I want to say this in a way that's not a spoiler, the exact instant that their things reached a new gear. That exact moment. So all of this is coming from deduction, not from concrete information.
And so I thought it's kind of like Skypiea then, that they tried to wipe out an entire group of people, which strengthens my Skypiea argument, by the way.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the more it does seem really convenient for the government that at the exact moment the Shandians carrying on their inherited will was brought to the government's attention, that is literally exactly when the knock upstream gets rid of Skypiea, or gets rid of the Shandorans.
Exactly.
Shandians.
It's far too convenient.
Shandorans.
And so then I thought maybe there could be a bunch of things. Could it have been her people's job to look for the lost century? Could her people have been people who were able to read and understand ancient texts in a way other people couldn't be? Did they train them, or did they have an innate ability? But at any rate, it then started to crush my goddamn soul, because I was writing down the stuff about Ikiga and how in Japan, I don't think that people understand how important Ikiga is unless they've spent a bit of time with it, or, they're Japanese.
Probably
but
helps.
Ikiga, that would help a lot. Ikiga is a purpose for being alive. Ikimi being alive or life, and ga, the benefit or worth. So your life's worth, meaning, mental and physical health is wrapped around from the devotion that you give to this purpose, of the fulfillment of it. And the entire Straw Hat crew that Luffy has picked have been people who have such deep Ikiga. Each person has a will to do a specific thing that they were driven, a whole purpose that they're into. And so you'll have people like Luffy wants to be king of the pirates. And Robin's Ikiga feels like she is carrying on and holding the purpose of her entire people who were wiped off the bloody face of the earth. And she is the last one left, and was left alone, bereft of an entire culture of people when she was 8 years old. And she gives it the hell up for the Straw Hats, because she realized that this buster call was made against them, and she has this deep trauma just when she comes down from Skypiea. And when she's in Skypiea, she realizes the connection of the Poneglyph and how she's going to go to the end, and she's going to connect the meaning all the way until the end when she gets to Laugh Town. And just when that happens to her, she's told by CP9, who are not good, that she either helps them out, kins the Straw Hats, or a buster call will be called out on them. And she gives up her whole life's purpose for them, her entire will, everything that is driving her, that she holds true for all her people, in my opinion. So when I thought about what she gave up for them, I realized how deep, whether she knows it or not, how deep her love is for the Straw Hats. Because in order to be able to give up her life's purpose, she would have to have felt so deeply connected to the Straw Hats that it mattered more than her life. It mattered more than her life's purpose. It mattered more than the life purpose of all the people in her country, in her ancestry, who were murdered. And I just think that is one of the saddest freaking things. If I'm right, that is a soul-crushing and also one of the most generous gifts. And they took advantage of her for her generous love.
And if you are right, I think it's really cool that it's seeded well enough that you have come to this conclusion. And if you're wrong, I'm curious to see what elements are different and what you think about like where the clues were. I'm very excited for you to get to it so that we can see how close you are.
What is super interesting about this is that Robin forgets that Straw Hats don't play by regular rules. And even Usopp admits it when he says to Robin, you know damn well that Luffy would never give up on you. He will never let you go without trying to get you back. So you need to quit running away, join, and help them become stronger, because Luffy will be there for you until the very, very end. And so even though all this time he talks about, being lost, and how when Usopp and Luffy are having their fight, he's like, do you even care about your crew? You would just let them go, blah, blah, blah. Even still, when he is hidden in his alter ego, he's able to say the things that he believes that he didn't have the strength to say as Usopp. I really like that they let Usopp have this alter ego, because I love what it psychologically allows him to do. It allows him to process his grief and his shame, and then it allows him to work through stuff he would need to work through in order to rejoin the crew. So I think that's fantastic. But moving right along, I like when they try fighting him, Ramen Kung Fu, Wanzi, and then they're just like, you know what? He's chaotic. There's not enough room in here to fight. You peace out, and I'm going to fight him on my own.
It's time for Mini Boss 1.
It's so cool when it's done this way. I love the idea of the train cars being level up. And this entire arc, and then going into the one we're not allowed to talk about yet, that happens in a lobby, has this whole feeling of getting to see level up taking place.
Weird description, but yeah.
Pardon me?
Happens in a lobby. Such a weird description for it, but yeah.
I love this one-on-one fight between these two. Wanzi is a straight-out manic kid wearing a noodle suit, a noodle onesie, if you will.
Yeah, I will.
Which is everybody's dream weapon. I love that he calls it everybody's dream weapon.
Power armor made of ramen. What kid hasn't been like, if I were a superhero, what I want? Ramen power armor.
Yeah, everybody's dream weapon. But the reason that I love that this fight takes place is because we get to see something that I don't know if a lot of people will love me saying. And then when you and I were talking earlier, and you and I agreed about this, I was like, okay.
I holistically agree. I'm glad you had the right reading. The two of us are about to piss off every Zoro fanboy.
Everyone.
Every Zoro fanboy. No, the Zoro fanboy is a very particular type of One Piece fan. We're all familiar with them. They are all admitted. We are about to piss off all of them at the same time. And I have felt this way since that scene as well. We had the same reading exactly.
I want to put out there, Zoro's one of my favorites. I love that kid so much. Yeah. I think that he's one of the most epic people that Oda created.
But what we're let me say is Zoro's kind of lucky that a certain chef holds himself to 3 separate handicaps.
Yeah, so I'm going to say, very first off, we're watching him fight, and I was like, okay, this is going to be an interesting fight. It's going to be hard for him to fight with just feet, because I immediately was like, dude,
how do you kick a noodle?
How do you kick a noodle? Exactly. Dude, you cannot kick a noodle. You're going to get sucked in. And then sure enough, dude gets sucked in. And I was like, you need to have swords. And this is why Zoro is able to do things that you are not able to do, because of your strange feelings, A, about women, B, about swords. Yeah. And then he gets kitchen knives because he's like, I don't normally get to fight with anything because knives should only be used for food. But since you're food now,
your food and this is a kitchen.
Your food and this is a kitchen. Let's go, biatch. And he grabs himself some sharp ass knives and just starts boom, and 1.4 millimeter pasta is served, and absolutely starts kicking ass. like
And-
fully kicking ass.
And this scene to me got me thinking about so many things. Like, Sanji is weaker than Zoro. I don't think, like, Sanji isn't as good of a fighter as Zoro. That just, like, I don't feel like there's that much argument there. There just really isn't. That being said, Zoro only practices fighting. That's all he cares about, right? He wants to be the best
100%.
fighter. He holds himself to no handicaps. He uses 3 goddamn swords. The only handicap he's put himself towards is he spent extra time training to use an extra goddamn sword because he wants to go that hard at swords.
Which is incredible.
Yeah, incredible. Very cool. Sanji trains cooking first, fighting distant second. It is not that big of a passion for him. When he fights, he puts the handicap on himself of refusing to fight women. He puts the handicap on himself of not using his hands. The handicap on himself of not using weapons. He is holding himself back and not focusing that hard on it. And we see the second he picks up weapons, immediately destroys his opponent. No questions asked. The fight is over.
I was like, dude picks up kitchen knives and uses them like a chef and manages to fight like that. I can't even imagine how strong he would be. He has more innate fighting ability, not more practiced or talented now, but more innate fighting ability than Zoro.
I think his potential was just higher.
I agree. So Sanji was trained by Red Leg Zeph
as a chef,
but he wasn't
and a fighter second.
As a chef first, and exactly.
Most
where Zoro trained his whole life as a fighter.
Fighting. Yeah, only fighting. Sanji was trained fighting as
no secondary anything. Yeah, and so I know that some people might be like, yeah, but it's knives and it's chef work. Well, so are swords. Swords are long knives.
Yeah, sword,
and they chop up meat too. They chop up the meat of human.
Danny the Hunter, I absolutely agree. I think Zoro is consistently shown to be someone who is more about effort than natural aptitude, which I think is perfectly fair. Like, if anyone's framed as having natural aptitude, it's Luffy. I'm just saying, the second Sanji picked up a weapon, shit got wild, and he does not train nearly as hard as Zoro does.
Oh my god, at all. He doesn't train in anywhere near the length of time that Zoro does. Anyways, stay pressed. I just figure, in my opinion, I thought that was a very interesting thing. I was like, that's interesting that once he fights with both hands and feet and has weaponry, that the fight changes entirely.
He just decides to use all of his tools for the first time ever, and we see, oh, holy shit. I could see later in the series a point where Sanji's like, I am getting my ass beat, and is like, all right, what's my enemy's power? They turn into an animal. Okay, I can stretch that as their food if we get to the kitchen. I need to not break my rules, but I think I need knives.
Oh my god. Well, I just wanted to say to Sanji, dude, look at you. Humans are meat.
Hey, opponent. You're an iguana, right? Yeah. All right, I've eaten iguana. Let's get to the kitchen.
We have Robin sitting there, and alter ego Usopp is, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm the king of sniping, the sniper king. And you're looking at Robin, and she's like, sigh.
We doing this
Long Nose, are we doing this? And then he's like, right now, Sanji and the thug named Franky are tearing up the inside of this train, and I took the opportunity to come here. And we find out a lot about her background, and she's like, I'll never return to the Straw Hats. They know why you keep insisting that. The iceberg guy from Shipbuilder Island cleared everything up. It doesn't matter, I still won't return. Do you really think they'd be grateful to be alive, knowing one of their crewmates sacrificed herself for them? Now that they know why you left the crew, they'll follow you to the depths of hell, if necessary, and knock the stuffing out of your enemies along the way. You still don't get the way Luffy works. So this was a really great panel for us to have a look into Usopp's heart. Because we know that Usopp understands how Luffy works. We know that he gets it because he studied Luffy well enough to give him a good fight. Like an impressive fight, especially when you're considering where Usopp is and how Usopp doesn't have a devil fruit, Usopp doesn't have particular talents, and yet he was able to do what he did just from his deep study of Luffy. And so when we see this and we have this panel, we get to know that no, Usopp really does understand who Luffy is and that Luffy did value him. He knows that his love of the Mary got in the way of his logic. And this is our way of getting to hear that out loud. I love the fight between Franky and the gross weasel CP9. I was really grateful to Oda giving us somebody that Franky could kick the crap out of right away, because we hate CP9 now, especially those of us who are thinking about why it is that this is going on for Robin and imagining her past. I was like, I want to murder all the CP9. So having Franky kick their ass, that made me very, very happy. I was like, thank you for chucking us a bone. Oh, and he chucked us 2 bones. He gave us T-Bone, too, who was kind. And it was finally nice to see somebody in the government who didn't suck.
Yeah. I mean...
Other than Smoker.
Yeah, other than Smoker, who's perfectly nice.
He's perfectly nice.
I really feel like Aokiji comes out as kind of a nice guy in a lot of this, but then I gotta remember, he gave Spandam the ability to do a buster call.
Exactly. What the hell, man?
Like Aokiji, this is not a responsible man.
Yeah, I was so disappointed in that.
Like I can't put Aokiji in my list of like good and responsible, thoughtful Marines because he was like, I'm gonna give the nuke key to this freak.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, so disappointing.
What did people want to know what we think of the Franky Center? Someone also asked if we do a stream with Murph. If Murph was ever down, I would love to. Murph's a lot bigger than our channel. We probably won't get a chance until our channel's a lot bigger. But hey, I still think that Murph's series on literary inspirations is my favorite One Piece analysis outside of Ohara Arthur's theory series. But that's not really analysis, that's theorizing. So Murph is my favorite analysis so far.
Yeah, you've said it time and again that you love her.
Yeah, but I edit out of the video so people still ask.
Oh, cheeky. I love how much emphasis Oda is putting at all the other characters, like the Franky family and other people, noticing the strength and noticing how above par the Straw Hats are. Because in the Water 7, plus the train, plus the lobby, I feel like they're getting way more notoriety and that it's going to change a lot of things. Definitely it'll change their bounty after this because we're going after the government.
You think going after the major courthouse of the government, one of its largest institutions, is going to increase the Straw Hats' bounty?
Yeah.
That's a pretty long prediction.
And finally,
put in the prediction counter, just in case.
Yeah, it's a prediction. I mean, if it doesn't happen, it would be a real big oversight on everybody.
It would be a weird world building detail for the government to be like.
It would be a strange thing for them all. Yeah, they went here. Yeah, it's no big deal. Sometimes people go there and kill hundreds and thousands of people. And I like that Weaselface did figure out where the weakness of our great good boy Franky is. Franky still feels a bit of a bossy character to me. He's still a bit of a red rug. I mean, would I like to have him on the Straw Hat crew? Yeah, but
I think we'll keep reading. We'll see where you feel like after Ennie's lobby. If you feel like that's Straw Hat material.
I think he's Straw Hat material where he is right now. His weird centaur with his body in the wrong place is fantastic.
So let's talk about this briefly because we can't fully get into this. So in English, you can't quite understand this. It just doesn't come across. There's no way to translate it. You might wonder, what's Franky's deal? Why is he like a pervert cyborg with guns, and why is there a centaur form? Franky's design, everything he does comes down to a pun, which is there is a singular word in Japanese that, depending on exact context, means porn, pervert, transform, and soldier. All of those are hentai. All of those are the same word. And the reason Franky transforms, is transformed, dresses like a pervert, has a lot of guns, is because hentai means all of those things.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Sorry, Frankie. It's also the reason that he puts his crotchal region in the weasel's face.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh.
The fight ends up pushing both the noodle chef and the weasel dude into the room because I think it was really good for our fighting side to see that at that point they're just like, we don't like this lame CP9. So time for him to die right in front of them because it really shows exactly where they stand.
Oh yeah, you want a bad guy to look bad? Have him kill his own side.
Kill his own people, and you absolutely change the way that we all view them. Because generally speaking, like we're watching these things thinking that we're not just going to go off killing our own people. Like even if our people suck, we're going to protect them until they can gain strength. Thinking back to Dragon and the way that he protected Luffy and the Straw Hats when they were leaving in chapter 100. And so here, instead, to see him just be like, I'm Lucci, and what I'm gonna do is just finger bullet, hand right through you. Totally killed. And you're like, oh, well, that's a different level of bad guy, isn't it now?
Lucci's not a nice guy, it seems like. It seems like this Lucci guy might be trouble.
Well, the problem is too big for you to go sticking your nose into, says Lucci. Some people are just born under unlucky stars. The best thing that they can do for the world is die. Excuse me?
There are villains that come across with a lot of complexity. Lucci just comes across as just a bastard.
Just a rat bastard.
Just
for example,
an absolute bastard.
If there were a demonic power capable of burning the world to ashes, and the only one who could awaken that power was an innocent little girl of a mere 8 years old, don't you think that girl should be killed for the sake of humanity?
No?
My God. And I mean, maybe academically?
Yeah.
Cold little jerk.
You see the argument there, but also, Jesus.
The only way she can make people happy is by disappearing. That's her burden to bear. Practically speaking, she should have perished 20 years ago. I'm truly glad that she'll die before it's too late. I hate them. I think the capturing of Franky was super necessary. I liked having Franky with Robin later on, so it was super necessary. But I hate them so much. But take a minute to recognize that Usopp had already come pretty brave on his own. His mask is half off. We could see almost all of his face. He puts his stars out there. And then he grabs Nico Robin and starts running away with her, which is no small feat because she's 6'2", and gets her into the train, which doesn't matter because we find out that the Door fruit is, my God, the Door fruit is good.
Door fruit's wild. The Door fruit straight up lets you access the Dimension. That's nonsense. You made that up.
That is nonsense. To just be able to open a piece of air in the other train and go in and take Robin back, this Door fruit is a cheat. I agree, Mix Mothman. I was a bit pissed about it.
You escaped me? Too bad. I have the power of the Dimension. What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Whoop. Oh,
I'm just going to open a door beside you. Oh my God, Nami would kill for the Door fruit.
You know how the power of doors lets you teleport? No, oh fuck, guess you're right.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, we did it. We got Robin back. Everything is perfect. Robin, you're here. No, don't do that, says Robin. They pull the train back with their barbed wire barbs, and then they're like, open a Dimension, pull through the people we want. I mean, it did help that she used Ochafleur's clutch and kept Usopp from being able to go over. But when I saw the door opening up behind, I was like, bro, that's just cheat code. You have absolutely cheat code on this. But I would like to say that it turns out that doves in little coats, adorable.
It's so good.
It's adorable. I did almost ask for the picture. It's also a Usopp / Sniper King and Robin one where it's just half Usopp's face, half Robin's face, and Usopp says in the panel just above it, "It's all right, Robin. You're all right. You're still hiding something, aren't you? That's okay. That's okay. But pirates can't leave their crew without the captain's permission. So, Robin, have faith in Luffy.
Yep.
Actually,
And if anyone's going to say that.
And there goes the wazzing.
Crying
That
on
was a
stream
beautiful time. And this is why I'm saying, like, I can't just pretend that's not Usopp, because that being Usopp melted my whole heart. And you know how stone cold I am.
Yeah, you are absolutely ice cold. Nothing gets through to you.
Freaking hell, Usopp. Oh, so that was so beautiful. And moving into the Nightless Island, we request that you open the gates. And is it Enos Lobby?
Ennis lobby.
Enos
Ennis.
Okay, never mind. Ennis Lobby. Why am I like not loving the Ennis Lobby? What chapter is Ennis Lobby? 375?
376 is technically the start, but we did read it. I don't know why I put that number, but I did. So, we read it.
Ennis Lobby is way too cool. Make sure that you are reading all of Ennis Lobby, because I'm going to be there. Like by the end of this weekend, I will have done my first read through of it.
I'm so excited
okay.
for it.
I want to read this SBS. So in this SBS, right after Ennis Lobby, there was somebody who asked this question. I have a question. Of course, this goes for the main story as well, but sometimes the titles of each chapter of One Piece bring tears to my eyes, like the chapter of 292, To Meet Like a Half Moon Hidden by Clouds. I thought it was just a haiku about a moon, but it also expressed the situation surrounding Jaya Island and the Shandians. I'm a complete sucker for unexpected thrills like that, Oda. Which of the chapter titles have you written so far do you like the very best? Which I thought was such a sweet question. And then Oda's answer made me feel just a sense of joy. Wow,
yeah, it's really beautiful.
Wow, what a careful reader. Having somebody interested enough to read so thoroughly is the highest reward a manga creator could ever hope for. Thank you. And then he goes on from there. And when I read that, I was just thinking, like, it warms my heart so much to think about Oda appreciating having his work looked into, torn apart, and analyzed. And it absolutely gave me a huge glow. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, because I thought what we're doing as a community here, and the talking and the working through this piece, which is somebody's odyssey. Oda wrote this, and it's his odyssey piece, and so it's pretty cool that we're doing this together. And I know now for sure that he would feel absolutely heartwarmed.
I loved hearing that on the phone call when you told me about this, because it felt like what you were doing, what I'm facilitating, is something that would mean a lot to him, that someone's taking it this seriously and noticing all of the dozens and dozens of little details he puts into every chapter and paying such close attention to his work. And that, I don't know, I think there's something beautiful about human effort, and I didn't think about until you read that how much direct communication from one person to another there is, and someone manually by hand drawing each and every panel and thinking about the story in every image and every scar and every outfit and how much it means to the story, communicated to someone with equal focus, looking at that years later and trying to think about the world within the piece they've made. There's something so beautiful to that, and I kind of didn't connect with how special that was until you read that quote.
Yeah, I agree. That's a beautiful way to put it. So everybody, count me in and give YouTube a shout out. Get people to come and join us next time we're here. Yes, they said 5, 8, 6, 3. There's 3. 1. Hi, everyone in YouTube land.
It's gonna be crazy. Okay, sorry.
You interrupted the world's best opening. Everybody in YouTube is crying now. They didn't get that.
The editor leaked that in.
YouTube is like, I feel ripped off. She had the perfect tone of voice. It made me feel welcome.
Editor, I leave it in when I chastise Mama for fucking it up, so you gotta leave it in when I get fucked up, when I fuck up and get chastised. It's only fair.
Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Hi, YouTube. We sure are glad to see you. It's me, Mama Drock. You know me from such places as the Drop Show, where we're drocking it out. Come and join us on Twitch. I'd like to tell you that we have a lot of fun here. Sometimes we do weird things. We always do weird things. And we would love it if you press subscribe, because YouTube has incredible algorithms and they'll keep showing this to you whether you subscribe or not. So the only person that it benefits is us here right now in this here, us. And press like if you liked it. If you don't like it, don't press like. That's weird. But if you liked it, why wouldn't you press like? That's also weird.
Apparently,
and I hope
YouTube is being sued and might have to change the subscribe button to actually work and stop with the suggestion algorithms.
Oh.
So there's a chance that you might actually have to subscribe if you want to see this in the future.
You souped.
You souped.
Okay. Okay, everyone. We interrupted again because we're weird. I hope you have an amazing day.
People are telling you not to forget the pineapple plug.
Oh, yeah. 2 things. Number 1, pineapple plug. If you would like to see Drock dressed up as a pineapple, then you need to press subscribe. And if we
that's not the criteria, but okay.
Yeah, you need to press subscribe. If we get to 50,000 subscribers, Drock will be a pineapple. He'll be delicious. He'll have a tall green thing on his head and a great big pineapple body.
That's not the promise, but it is close. I'm
not done. Also, as soon as we get 250,000 subscribers, that's right, 250,000.
That's a lot more.
Which is it's a mere 200,000 more than the pineapple moment.
It's a mere 5 times as much.
I, Mama Drock, will go live.
Well, you mean with a face.
You will see me with a face. Oh. That was the hush. The crowd went wild. Yeah.
It's the most unhinged the plug has ever been.
Oh, no, I'm not done. I want more unhingedness now.
I'm dying.
So if
killing me.
If we have 50,000 subscribers, Drock becomes a pineapple. Where it's going to be hard to take care of him once he's vegetation, but we will because we love him. And I, Mama Drock, will show my face live.
We have
that is all.
Run with the prompt so far.
Okay, but let's do a little corking. Let's cork it out.
Is there something specific you wanted to say last time and forgot to, which is that you feel as though you figured out where we've seen...
Don't say my thing.
Okay. I was introing it. I wasn't going to say the theory.
You know what? You can intro it.
You feel as though you have found where we've seen mantra before Skypea even, perhaps.
Yeah, but now I have all sorts of mantra moments, and I'm going to bring it up again.
Say this actually. I think we did say this one. I realized I just had a flashback to editing the Foxy corkboard.
Good. I'm going to do mantra part 2 then, even though any slobby will give me more evidence for it. I'm going to say it.
Okay.
I started to wonder about the other straw hats and if we'd seen mantra in any of the things. And I'm starting to see like a type of mantra used with the other straw hats. The way that Luffy is able to dodge things in a way that feels like he knows where the next thing is going to be. The punches come and he's already felt where it is. For those of you who have read ahead to the lobby, don't say anything or spoil anything because I'm not going to mention it directly, but I am going to say that when we got to the lobby and Luffy does a certain thing when we level up, I started to think about the will of D and about that idea I had with how everybody on the crew has such deep ikiga, or a will and a purpose of life. And I started to think about how many of them feel like they have kind of a mantra ability already, in that they, what's the right word for it? In that they have something that is pulling them through and helping them to do better, but also leveling them up in a way that they shouldn't be able to level up. We'll fight with somebody and then we'll lose wickedly. And the next time we meet them, all of the crew is already able to be that much better. They haven't had an opportunity to practice it. They haven't had an opportunity to put it against anyone else yet. So speaking of Zoro, he learns to cut steel. He doesn't have to re-practice it in order to cut steel now. Now he just can cut through a train. He learned that thing, and now cutting through steel isn't even a thought for him. It just lives there. He leveled up, it's there. No more practice, no more trying, no more nothing. So it's almost as if they have this innate ability that's similar to mantra, that means that when they learn a new skill, they own it. They don't have to do anything to keep it in them. They own it, which is really, really interesting. And then it started making me think about the will of D, but just the will in general. So when we were thinking about Blackbeard and how Blackbeard was saying, if our will is strong, we will meet again. And I was like, all right, Blackbeard. I'm now starting to kind of see the will of D, or the will, as kind of like the Force in Star Wars, in that there is this new level of being a person. And it is, for lack of a better term, because it is the only one I can keep using again and again, the will. And the will is like, when it's connected, when your will is connected to your ikiga, to your purpose, and to a devotion to a thing that means so much to you, it kind of turns on a superpower, a mantra, if you'd like. But it turns on something inside of you that levels your capabilities to a different different area, and you're able to do things like lose a fight and figure out how to change, how to win, and the next time you see them, without any practice or other change or getting a new weapon or whatever it is, you're different already. Does that make sense? Did I make sense in words? It makes a lot of sense,
and it is something I had observed as well when I was a first time watching. What I found interesting, this is all first time observation stuff. What I found interesting when I was observing it is, like, it feels like getting stronger conceptually, but it doesn't feel like physical strength. It feels like something else is happening.
Yeah, precisely. That is precisely what it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I'm going to send you some things. I sent you some weird stuff. Go look in the Drock. Go. And then you can put those on for people to look at.
Oh my God, this is so many. I'm not going to get them all, but we're going to get some of them.
Ready to see the corkboard? Did you get them? Can you put them up for people and then I'll go on?
Yeah. So as you start with the corkboard, I'm going to put them on screen for people to look at. By God.
Can you go in on that center one with that shows the compass rose so I can talk about that next?
I will go grab that in a sec. We are zoomed in.
So you see on this one here, I haven't put everything on, but I've put in some of the people that I think are attached to the different areas. You can't see it, but I have Ben Beckman and Usopp the sniper, and Usopp the sniper, and Lucky Roo in here as well. But the reason that this is super important, you can't really see it in this one as much, you might have to zoom in on another one, is because on top of it, I put the symbol, thank you for doing that, of the government, because it aligns perfectly with my thinking of the compass rose.
However,
so this
you
is the
did the symbol before you'd seen the government symbol, but before you'd taken it in.
So interestingly, when I saw this, I was like, whoa, my idea of the compass rose and the 4 directions being important with Luffy in the center as the god is the same as the symbol of the government. And when I noticed that, I kind of put it lightly over top of them now so that I could overlap the two of them, which made me start to wonder about whether or not the thing that is the shadow of darkness, when I said maybe it has influence in the government, I was like, maybe the thing that has the shadow of darkness or is controlling that shadow of darkness knows about the system of divinity and is using that same system as a method of control within the government, and that the government itself also has something that is similar, which is why they use the same symbol. Because the thing that is the shadow of darkness would know to use the symbology, the same way that when Romans go to different parts of the world and they were conquering, they would always take the symbology and religion of the place that they were in, but then just slightly tweak it in order to meet with the things that they thought were the most important, right? And so that's why I have a big connection that's going between the shadow of darkness, the council of elders and government, and this symbology now. Yeah, Christianity too, but in this case, I'm using it as something else. And so I thought, ooh, isn't that neat that this is a thing I came up with? And then I was started to look at the symbol of the government and I was like, oh, hey, baby, I see you. I see you being the same thing. And then, yeah. And then moving on to another thing from Water 7, I started to think about how Tom was talking about being friends with, or at least meeting up with Goldie Roger. And so now I've decided that Goldie Roger gave Tom the blueprints. 100%. I've decided that. That is,
all right.
That's my new canon because I'm building stuff off of it. And here's why it matters. Here's why that theory matters, because if Goldie Roger gave those to Tom, I think he gave other important things like the blueprints or other things to people that were going to meet in the future, because he knew that his life was in danger and that he was going to make it to the end, and that he would probably be killed. But he wanted to make sure that all of the pieces that he had to Poneglyphs, to the 100, to the Lost Century, and to all these other things were cared for by people that he trusted, who he knew would pass the information on, that it would live through. And so I think that we meet Tom, and this is just one person that we're linking it to, but there's going to be many other people along the path that Goldie Roger had time with, who he left clues with or important information. And then I started to think about the fact that Robin is 28 years old. And Robin being 28 years old is perfect because Goldie Roger died 20 years ago when Robin was 8. And when Robin was 8 was when her entire nationhood was wiped off of the face of the earth. I'm sad to say that I think that Goldie Roger told Tom about who Robin actually was and what she was capable of. But I think that this is probably a truth. And so I think that that Goldie Roger knew of what happened to when she was sick. No, she's 28 years now. Was he dead for 22 years, not 20? Oh, interesting. I thought that he was dead for 20 years, but it still doesn't matter. I think that he knew of Robin's people and what occurred. And I think that he knew why their nation was going to be in such a struggle and have so many problems, and their ability, whether it was the ability of reading, whether they knew information that they shouldn't, or whatever it is that ended up having them all killed. He knew that this was going to happen, and he could have told Tom about these people. And then when Robin survived, Tom decided that Robin was a super, super big danger for all of them. And so that's why he put her on Reed. And then, oh God, I wrote cry, cry, cry here. If I can lose the crew. And then I thought about this idea about...
Roger died 22 years ago, not 20.
Yeah, I read that. That's why I said it wouldn't matter. He would still know about her people, what they were able to do, and why the government wanted them to be gone. Because Goldie Roger had been traveling the ocean, collecting these things and taking the information from one Poneglyph to the other to get to the end, to where Laughdown is. So he knew. So he knew if these people had this information, that was going to be a serious problem, and that they would be murdered or persecuted or something to keep their secrets suppressed. I know he knew because, in my opinion, he went up to Skypiea because he also knew that Skypiea had been skied in order to move the Skypieans up there with the bell and all their information so that nobody else would know about it. And then I started to think about, sorry, I'm standing up so I can take a look at my board of joy. Luffy, and about how Luffy is changing, and how the Long Island ended up being so much more important. And I'll bring it up again when we get to the lobby. But the Long Island ends up being so much more important already, and it's going to be funny how many times I think it might be. Good night. It might be important later on, because I just love the idea of an author being like, "Oh yeah, this is just a little throwaway. Don't think about it." And whenever somebody does that, there's always sneaky stuff there, right? Like you just hiding it. Hiding in plain sight is the best. And so Luffy losing his crew so casually, having Chopper just taken in a game because Luffy wasn't careful enough, and just stealing away Chopper from him, and Luffy realizing how easy it was to have somebody taken from him, was reminiscent totally of Zoro, and the way that his sparring partner was taken away from him by dying falling down the stairs. That there's something so brutal about losing somebody important to you casually or through recklessness. And I think that is a defining change for Luffy, which we're going to then see inside of the lobby, that he understands now. And you can start to see it inside of the train when they're going through this whole thing in Water 7. And then they get on the train, and they're like, Luffy realizes to himself, like, I will go to the end of the damn world for Robin. I will not have a single other crew member taken away. And then when he and Usopp fight in Water 7, that's driven into him now. All of your actions have meaning. Everything you do changes the way that you interact with your crew and whether you'll get to keep them. And without a crew, without your found family, you're nothing. You're never going to be able to reach your goals. And who would want to be? And then Usopp says it, which is why I will never allow him just to be the Sniper King, because it's so important. Because then in that panel, Usopp says him, have faith in Luffy. Because Usopp realizes how important Luffy's dreams are and how important Luffy's perspective is and what an actually good captain he is. And he says, have faith in Luffy, because he can see the growth and the change that Luffy has made. And so I think that there's kind of this combination moment where it felt like he just lost Luffy at the toss of a hat because he wasn't careful enough with his words. He lost Chopper at the toss of a hat because he accepted a battle without thinking about it. So there's all this casual way of losing people who are your world, the same way that we have somebody pass away falling down the stairs, that it feels so like nothing, and yet everything is taken from you.
And I think that's why this stretch of story feels so powerful, because Luffy's emotional attachment to an arc is usually that he meets someone who's personally involved and he likes them and takes on their mission. Whereas this whole saga is deeply personal for Luffy. From Long Ring Long Land, we are trained that Luffy's trained to be terrified of losing a crewmate. He sees how easily he can lose them, and then he sees how weak he is with Aokiji. How easily someone can, with force, take apart his crew and destroy everything he has. How he's not strong enough to protect them, and
because by rights they all should have been dead. That dude could have just killed them all.
Yeah. And then he has to fail on a personal level to keep Usopp under wraps, to help Usopp feel comfortable in the crew, and Usopp leaves. Like, saving Robin is Luffy proving that he is strong enough emotionally and physically to hold his crew together and protect the crew as a unit emotionally and physically. And I don't think anything we've seen thus far has been as personal for Luffy.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so I think that the D is not family related.
Okay.
It's something else. Even though time and again, like, people say that family is questionable and blah blah blah, and that family is this and that family is that, when they're talking about the D, I think the D stands for something else and non-family related, and that the D is some kind of name that you can be given when you're within this type of a group or this type of a thing, rather than necessarily being just family. So you can take on aspects of people or be given inherited will, if you will. As my great good boy says here, one's dreams, the ebb and flow of time of the ages, inherited will. So it might be an inherited will piece.
Okay.
These things cannot be stopped. An inherited strength of will, and I'm wondering if that has something more to do with the D, the inherited strength of will. This person, you can be given the D. I can't even with this.
It's a thing you did say.
But there's okay. Every time I talk about it, I'm like trying to talk about the D. I'm always like, it's such a stupid thing to say. But here we go. Here we go, Oda. Oh God. There's going to be a lost land. 100%. I've been looking at some stuff. Somebody said something like it, and I caught on to a thing that they said, and then I've been looking at some stuff about predictions, and now for me, I've got a actual, you can see it in my corkboard, it just says lost land, and now I'm just searching for evidence of it. Wait, magic circles.
Magic circles. Okay, so this is the last one.
Why do the Council of Elders have magic circles? Who gave them magic circles? I don't think that the Council of Elders got magic circles on their own. I'm starting to wonder if magic circles are a piece of good or evil, because these magic circles don't belong to them. I don't think that the Council of Elders can make a damn magic circle, but they're painted all over their walls. And the magic circles feel, when I'm looking at them, like they have the mark of divinity all over these babies. And so it makes me wonder what divine creatures are working with the Council of Elders. And
be they gods or be they demons?
Or be they demons. Yeah, exactly. Be they gods or be they demons. But what damn people or divinities or whatever have given the magic circles to the Council of Elders? And how long did they have them? Who are they bringing there? Who is using these magic circles? And why? And so there are two things now that I am focused on, and it's magic circles and devil fruit, because I think there's a big connection between them.
Interesting. It's so curious because magic circles, depending on where you look in media, are like super, super good or super, super evil. Like they can be protective charms, they can incur good pagan gods, they can be symbols of protection, they can be symbols of love, or they could be used to conjure devils and demons and bind them to your will and commit sacrifice in the name of a dark god. Like there is a lot of meaning in a magic circle.
I've also determined that there's going to be like not just one layer of magic circle, that these ones can take you to particular areas, and that in a way that the magic circles can be used to move between not just 2 points, but a bunch of different points, including, I'm starting to wonder about Ace, because Ace's name makes him a key. And so I'm starting to wonder if he can particularly... Remember when we talked about how Susanoo, the third child born from the nose, is supposed to be the guardian of the gateway of death?
Worm boy,
Yeah. So now I'm wondering, because who is Susanoo? And Luffy is sun god. I don't think that Ace is a god, but I've got to be willing to be wrong on that, right? Like I have to look at whether I'm wrong about the directionality, and if because he's a not second in command, but second what?
Second division commander.
Because he's a second division commander, I have to be willing to be right or wrong on this, but I think that there's some connection between getting through a gateway of death and Ace, because his name is Protocol.
Yeah.
And so now I'm wondering, when I'm looking at this Susanoo thing and how this person is supposed to guard it, I'm like, why would we need to get through? And are we going to see Ace go through the magic circles? And when are our crew... I'm going to predict our crew are going to use magic circles. I'm going to predict that Ace is going to try to break into like a gateway of... death. Why do you want in there, Ace? I don't know. Maybe that's where we go to find the person who's so bad and go down to fight them in the future, or to try to stop them because of the shadow of darkness. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. But that's something I'm kind of thinking about now.
Okay, let's do.
Okay, time to do our tops.
Segments, but we have Luffy's top 5 presented by Luffy of our top 5 characters here. Let me tell you, we got some good characters here. We've met.
We
T-Bone,
really do.
Franky did stuff.
I enjoy the train. I enjoyed the train for everything it was. I think it is so cool.
It's why it's one of the big reasons I wanted to do this, because let's face it, we weren't going to talk about this if it was mixed in with other stuff.
No, I agree, and I'm really glad we did. Yeah, I hope everyone else is glad we had this chat and we didn't just go into... I would have completely ignored most of the stuff that happened in here because the lobby is so damn dense.
There's a lot happening very quickly.
Yeah, and I hate brushing over the things that Oda does because people need to realize the man would not put something in if it didn't have some relevance to move the narrative forward, and therefore there are things to find.
Aw. So I'm glad we did this. Let's see who our train contenders are.
Okay, I know who my number 1 is.
Yeah, well, let's just go there. Let's talk about number 1. Who's the best? Who's the number 1 on Luffy's list of top 5 sponsored by Luffy?
Do we want to talk about Luffy first and what I've decided about him in each round?
So what you said is you wanted to do a tier list placement for Luffy to determine how good of a Luffy it is this arc, because you'd almost always make it top 5, and that's boring. You said
how Luffying Luffy was in this round, and how, because he's always god tier, but where was he in that god tier?
In Luffy terms, how well did he do? So popping up the tier list, where does Luffy go for this week?
This week Luffy is a solid A.
This is an A tier Luffy?
A tier Luffy. Here's why. I was going to give Luffy a B tier. We don't see him that much, but in comparison, and he's whatever. But Luffy was Luffying in these ways. So he wasn't taking on the things that he couldn't take on. The scale is SABCD, guys. Luffy wasn't taking on the things that he didn't take on. He was immediately believing in the abilities of his crew. Like the moment where he was like, he pushed himself through, went into the train, looked for all the people within the Straw Hats or any of their allies. None there, comes back, boom, and just takes a look at Zoro and goes, yeah, you're going to need to cut it in half. And Zoro goes, okay, and just does. So Luffy was amazing at understanding the strength of his crew and leaning into those strengths, which I think was really impressive and really important, because I think that this train, the water, the long ring has really shown Luffy what his crew means to him in a non-joking, goofy kind of way. And he's realized that the crew is what makes him the king of the pirates. His crew.
All right. We have an A tier Luffy for the sea train.
He's an A tier Luffy this week. I've got number 1 and I'm not moving it. It just is what it is.
It's clearly Sanji. Nami.
It's Sanji. Sanji is number 1 in the train this week. Sanji's epic battle was so glorious. His moves in there, I think that the page where he cuts it to 1 1/4 inch perfect ribbons of noodles out of his nose was one of my very, very favorite panels. Watching him pick up knives and use them with all his skill, come on.
It's great.
Amazing.
Sanji fucks off on his own little mini side quests to get the victory all the time, to find what the win condition is. And this is the first time we get to see what that looks like. We get to see him on his personal quest solving problems. Normally that just happens off screen. And this time it's like, no. Audience, you get to come with Sanji this time. Follow along. Watch him do his thing.
Thanks for mentioning that, because when we were in Water 7 and Sanji pisses off and we're still looking for people who fell upside down, Zoro, looking at you, into chimneys, and people who managed to get themselves stuck, I was like, are we not going to get to see Sanji on the train? Is this going to be another one of those like crocodile moments where suddenly he's there and we're eating in Le Crap restaurant again? And then I was like, oh,
Oh no.
We get to see it.
No, this time
We're on
we're
the
here for
adventure.
Sanji's adventure. We get to be with them.
Yeah. Yeah, Sanji was 10 out of 10. So goddamn cool. I'm not putting Nami on the list.
Yeah, Nami doesn't do much in this section.
I just want to say
8
right now,
chapters.
for all
It's easy
those
to not do
people
much.
waiting for me to take Nami off the list. Nanji.
Is that your ship? Do you support the Nanji ship? No, you've actively said you hope they never end up together. Never mind.
No. Gross.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. If they end up together, I would be like, no, this week, Nami is she not there. But if we're talking about pure enjoyment and some great goodness, do it.
What? Yeah? What's happening?
Franky is number 2.
Hell yeah, player 1, player 2. Fight! Yeah. No, it's our beat 'em up bros together. They're going through the train. They're here to kick ass. My number 1 and number 2 would have been number 1 Franky, number 2 Sanji.
Good. So good. Okay, when I'm thinking about giving me joy, and I hate doing this because people are all going to be like, rah, rah,
Okay,
rah. But I don't care. No, number 5. You know what? You're right. I do say a lot. You have to take out a lot of
I cut out a lot of
Okay. Number 5. I'm trying to decide between 2 people.
Look,
they're both on the list.
You know who's a good enough boy to make it.
Don't.
I don't want to coerce you, but I just feel like there's a certain dude who should be on
You know what? Number 3 is Zoro.
Number 3 is Zoro. Interesting. Nice. Okay.
He cuts a damn train in half.
He just cut a damn train in half. That did happen.
He puts a hole right through the goddamn ocean. Oh, nope. Zoro's moved down. He's number 4. Sorry, Zoro.
Is number 3 Usopp?
Yeah, it's Usopp.
Cue the memes.
Slash.
Yeah.
The Sniper King.
Oh, they get to share a spot.
They get to share a spot today.
I can't think of why they would get to share a spot, though. What do these characters have in common that let them share a spot?
I don't know, but they're going to share a spot.
Usopp didn't do much, so it's a little bit weird, but all right, I'll let you.
You know what? I just feel like the Sniper King really got a lot of information from Usopp, so Usopp must have spent a lot of time working with him behind the scenes. And therefore, the Sniper King is getting to sit on the stage with Usopp today. Yeah.
People are mad you've left out Nami and screwed over Zoro. People are so mad. Oh no.
People, this is just me thinking out loud.
All right, so number 5, we have a competitive race.
And now 4 is Zoro.
Yep, so we only have number 5 left. It's a competitive race for the last spot on the list. Now, I feel like you're not going to...
That's not even competitive for me. It's T-Bone.
Hey, okay, I was hoping he'd make it. We all love him.
Yeah, T-Bone is number 5. He could have been higher. He's so great. I know Chopper's not on there.
Like, God, he's so good. Okay, no, the ending chapter I wanted, because I want the little bit after Eni's Lobby to be its own thing, is accurate. It's
Are you kidding me right now?
430 is where we're ending.
I get it. 442.
430, and let me tell you, you might need to end there, because do you remember how dense the last 6 chapters of Jaya were?
Oh no.
The 9 chapters
Are you
after
crapping me right now?
Comparable, and they will entirely change all of your opinions if you read ahead there.
Oh my god. You're killing me.
If you read past 430, it is going to change how you think about everything.
I'm gonna need to have a nap after this. And by a nap, I mean hibernate.
So, Madrak is going to watch the Sniper King song and react to it.
Please come and join Discord and join our and join our Discord book chat. That's where we, and then apparently there's a spoily chat as well. I'm not allowed in it, but everybody else goes and talks about things I've talked about. Right after we get off here, they usually talk about my predictions and what a doofus I am.
Yeah, we often hype up all of Mama's predictions in the spoiler chat afterwards. It's a lot of fun. It's a great time. You get all the pictures there. People have asked where to get the pictures on YouTube. They're all there. All of them are in the Discord. Once we're big enough to have a Patreon.
So good.
Oh, well, thank you. Once we get big enough to have a Patreon, I'm only going to post low res in the Discord and have a patron room that Patreon members get access to that's going to have high res images. But for now, it's all high res images, and that goes back the entire time. I've also done a bunch of pictures that aren't from One Piece that I really, really love that are super cool in there.
Do we have a link for the Discord?
I think it's in the Twitch bio.
Link in the Twitch bio.
Yeah. All right.
You guys are pirate monsters. Okay.
Okay. Everybody, it's been lovely talking to you. Who's hotter? Who wins the beauty pageant? The only competitors left somehow, I don't know how it came to this, are Pearl and Wanzi.
Oh my god, who's hotter, Pearl or Wanzi?
Yeah.
Oh god, I don't want to say anything nice about Pearl, but he puts noodles at his nose. I'm sorry, I can't. It has... Oh god. Sweet Jesus. Noodles out the nose. Okay, you know what? Oh god.
Yeah.
I hate you, Wanzi. It's Pearl.